Hello. Okay, let's get into it. We are going to read or go over a book called Dear Reader. This is going to be a two-part one because this book is kind of long and there's a lot to go over. Now, this book is very good, but there's a lot of twists and turns and wait, how did that happen? And it's like a book you can't put down, even though sometimes you want to. It's about a girl that is about to be thrown into, I would only be able to put it like the gates of hell. She is 21 and is in college, but it's like that first part of college. And um, but it's like somebody is always out to get her, no matter where she is. Now she drives her dad's like older car, it's a Camaro, and she comes out of class one day and finds out that it got keyed. Now, when she takes it to get fixed, even though she really don't have the money to do it, somebody has keyed it all the way down the side. And the mechanic is like, okay, this is going to cost you $5,000 to fix it. And of course, she doesn't have that. She only works part-time as a masseuse in a spa to have money just to pay for her basic living expenses. Now, she knows she can call her mom, and her mom would have the money in her account that day, but it's not really her mom's money. It's her soon-to-be stepdad's money. And her mom is always trying to help her, and so is he, but she always kind of feels like she needs to do things on her own now that she's older. Now, when she leaves, she's supposed to go to her mom's that night because they want to introduce her to her soon-to-be stepbrother, but she says she can't, and she tries to make up yet another excuse not to go. Says that she's too busy and that she's got things to do. Now, she lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 girls because where they're living, rent is really steep, and she can't afford to live on her own in such a high-priced neighborhood. Now, when her mom tells her that she's getting married to this guy, she drops the bombshell that this guy, Max, has a son. And she just knows that this is not going to turn out well for herself or anybody else in the matter. Now, that day when she goes into work, this client comes in, and his name is Heath, and she thinks he is the most gorgeous guy in the entire world. And he starts immediately flirting with her specifically. Now, when she does her job and she does his massage and all of that kind of stuff, after the massage is over, he is trying to get her to do more than just the massage. And she's like, I can't do that. That's not this type of place, yada, yada, yada. Well, he does end up getting her to kiss him. Now, she doesn't know, but he is recording this whole thing. And then he offers her like $6,000 to do this, to go further, and she still says no. Now, he tells her to go ahead and keep the money or the check that he gives her. And she don't think that it's real because who's going to give you $6,000 for nothing? And he goes out and tells his friends that she did way more than what she did because he didn't record the whole conversation or the whole scenario. Now, she don't think the check is real, like I said, so she goes ahead and just goes about her day, pretty much forgets about the check. When she goes back, she ends up going to the bank the next day and deposits the check. Well, to her surprise, it ends up clearing. Now, she goes ahead and pays the mechanic for the work done on her dad's car. And when she does, she gets a phone call from her mom that says that her and her stepdad have decided they were gonna move the wedding. Sorry, excuse me. Anyway, move the wedding up sooner. And so when she's in a rush, she gets to the hotel, gets a call from her dad stating that he can't come home like he was planning on it because something at work, which always does, comes up. Now, they get drinks and her mom and her having a good time. And then she decides that she needs to go upstairs and get changed and stuff for the wedding rehearsal. She goes upstairs, she takes a bubble bath, and she just recently learned that her mom and her stepdad applied to this prestigious college in a form of a scholarship for her so she could continue her education without having to pay for anything. Now they offered to pay for her whole college experience and to buy her an apartment and all this kind of stuff, but she always refused because, like I said, she wants to be independent, which girl, that age normally would decline that kind of offer. Well, her new stepbrother, assumes that she's only trying to be a gold digger just like her mother, and he thinks she's accepting like all these gifts and stuff from his dad, which is not true. But of course, he only believes at this time what he wants to believe. He knows who she is, but she at the time doesn't know who he is. Well, she goes back downstairs, gets a drink, talks to her grandmother about like this scholarship and all this kind of stuff. Well, she goes to sit down at the table for this rehearsal dinner. Well, some guy comes up behind her and she didn't get a good look at him and moves her place card and changes it with somebody else. And at first she's bothered by it because she's like, wait, that's my seat because I'm supposed to be sitting with my mom and all of this stuff. But she just kind of lets it go because she doesn't want to ruin her mom's night, right? And so she doesn't want to make a big deal of it. Well, when she sits down, she's surrounded by all of these guys, and she makes the assumption, which is correct, that one of these guys is her new stepbrother. Well, they start making all these like jokes of how she's slept with that one guy that came into her work. Because come to find out, he is one of Nate's friends, which is her stepbrother. And they set her up to make her look like a gold digger. Excuse me. And made her, like to make her be something that she's not. Now, this goes on for quite a while, which kind of sucks and it's dumb. But who am I to judge, right? And I guess I can't, well, I will judge it because it's wrong. Their whole perspective of her. Now they end up having dinner, and after she learns that she's going to this new college and she gets up, she's like, you know what? I'm done with this conversation. I don't have to listen to it. You're all acting like children. Nothing happened. And you can believe him if you want to believe him. And they were all like, well, nobody takes 5K or 6K just for nothing to happen, So this whole scenario ends up being crappy for her. Now, a few weeks later, she graduates that part of her college and she gets moved into the dorm where her mom and her new stepdad is like, hey, are you sure we can't like get you a place to live because this is kind of a crap hole? And she's like, no, I'm going to do this. I got this. And she runs into her new next door neighbor, Carly. Now, Carly is this girl that knows Nate and knows about everything that's going on at this college that Ashley has yet to find out about. Now, when Ashley first gets there and she meets Carly. Carly's like, hey, let me help you move in. I don't know where you're going to put everything because this is a lot of stuff for such a small space. And Ashley's like, no, I'll do it. And a few hours later, Carly's like, hey, why don't we just go to dinner and then we will come back and, organize your room. So Carly and Ashley decide to go to dinner. Well, of course, they run into Jade, which is supposedly Nate's girlfriend at the time. And Jade does not like Carly at all because of a certain scenario. Now, Jade gives Carly a whole bunch of crap, and Ashley is like wanting to say something, but Carly's like, no, just let it go. She'll pass, whatever. Now, later on, after they get back from going to dinner, Carly and Ashley decide that they are going to go through the room. They're going to organize it because that's Carly's thing. She likes to be organized. She's such a sweet girl. But other people don't see it that way at first. Now, as they're organizing the room, Carly says, well, I need to kind of tell you why everybody's treating me the way that they are. And she says that she slept with Nate, Carly's stepbrother, and that she was kind of the side piece, but didn't know it because Nate made her believe that Jade and Nate had split up during this time. Now, at first she thought Ashley was going to be mad at her, and she come to find out that she's not, because now they both don't like Nate, so it gives them both the more reason to click. So they're up late doing this organizing, and finally Carly goes home, or goes back to her room. And Ashley's looking around and she notices this loose floorboard. Well, she's trying to fix it, but she has to move the bed. Well, she notices that this loose floorboard is done intentionally. Now she lifts the floorboard to find this journal. And on the front, and it says, "Dear reader, if you're reading this, I'm dead." Or I'm probably dead. And Ashley is like, what is going on? So she starts reading kind of this book that explains there's this society that's called the Devil's Backbone that is on campus. And it's a secret society that only a select few, and it's got to be like people that are really high up or really expensive or has some like deep connection with the school. And they call it the DBs. And so she's reading it, and it says, you're reading it, I'm dead. If you're, there's a secret society, and if they try to pull you in, get away, get out as quick as possible because it's very dangerous. She only started digging into it because the writer of this book said that people had started going missing from school, and she was part of this devil's backbone, so the DBs herself, but she was trying to get out, and the only way out is death. And so it starts going into all these details. What kind of scares Ashley, and she's like, okay, that's weird. Well, she can't bring it up to nobody because it says, don't tell nobody that you found this book. So she kind of hides it, and the next day, or that same night, they were supposed to be going to a party at this lake. Well, the lake that is described in this book is where she supposedly drowned or got killed, but if she doesn't know that yet. So now when they go to this, or she goes to get ready for this party, but then when she finds the book, she decides she's not going to go because she don't know what is going to happen if she does. And she gets a knock at the door while she's like so immersed in this book, and it's not Carly. It ends up being Heath, and he's dragging her. He says, I'm giving you 5 minutes to get ready. And she's like, I just tell Carly I'm not coming. And he's like, no, I'm giving you 5 minutes. And if you don't change, I'm going to throw you over my shoulder. So he wasn't giving her a choice. Now, keep in mind, he's a part of this society, so she just doesn't know it yet. And so are all his friends. Now, she takes that as more of a threat than anything else. Well, later on, she gets there, they go to the party, she sees all 5 of these guys go into the woods. And when she follows them, she hears them talking about this devil society. Or this devil backbone society stuff. She thinks she's being cautious and nobody knows that she's there. In reality, they all know that she's there. And she thought she got away with it until she didn't. Well, she gets back to her room that night and she crashes out. And the next day she gets up and she's discussing, all this stuff, like trying to go through, get Carly to tell her about this, but Carly won't talk about it. Because, like I said, it's not something that is allowed to be spoken about unless you're in this specific society. Now, Jade and Carly and all of them have to go to this orientation thing. And Jade is talking so much crap to Carly that it's not even funny. Well, Ashley lets it go for a while because, of course, Ashley has begged her not to say nothing. Well, Jade finally says something and Ashley just snaps. And she goes at Jade. Well, they get into it and they're separated. Well, since Jade is dating Nate and Ashley is now Nate's stepsister, he can't let that slide because now she's part of it by marriage, but she just doesn't know it yet. And Jade and her get separated and Nate tells her, now you're going to have to be punished for starting this kind of stuff out in public and not shutting it down. You took it too far, which when they get into things that they're not supposed to out in public and it brings a bad light onto their certain group, really bad things tend to happen, or really embarrassing things, or things come out, or, like things that are always hidden but soon come to light. Now, when Carly and Ashley get back towards their dorm rooms, this guy tells Ashley, you're not supposed to have animals in your rooms, right? Like, because it's against the school policy. She's like, an animal? Okay, thanks for letting me know, but whatever. So she gets to her room and there's this mangy dog on her bed that has tore up her bed. And it's nasty and it's covered in fleas and it's just disgusting. Well, she knows that Jade did this out of spite. And so what she does is she writes a note to Nate and gives the dog to Carly. And Carly delivers the dog to Nate's apartment and leaves it in his apartment as a surprise. And she lets him know, I did this because your little girlfriend is on my last nerve. Well, that don't end well for her either, but who knows? Now, later on, after everything is said and done, there's a lot more to this story. Now, that's the first part that we're going to discuss because that's kind of gives you into a look into this book and what is about to happen. So you're going to want to stick around for a part 2 of this book because it gets good and it gets good fast. It's not one of those slow pace books, but it's like you've got to know what's happening, what's going to happen, where it's going to go. So just get ready, buckle up because it gets deep. All right, I will speak to y'all later. I will do part 2 soon. Get ready. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Share with anybody you can because this is going to be a wild ride.